This happened just a few weeks ago. I'm a senior in high school, and I've lived in Arizona my entire life. There's not much excitement around here, so my friends and I got really into urban exploring. We'd hunt for forgotten places, abandoned hotels, boarded-up shopping centers, deserted tunnels, anything left to rot. We'd climb broken fences, snap some pictures, sometimes even sneak onto rooftops or into basements. It wasn't about vandalism. It was about the thrill of discovering what others forgot. The one guy in our group who always found the strangest locations was Derek. He was the quiet, brooding type, the guy who never explained how he found places, and you didn't really ask. One afternoon, Derek texted us a screenshot from a shady Instagram account. Barely any followers, blurry and unsettling pictures, weird comments underneath. The caption read something like, "Endless abandoned mining tunnels hidden in the Sonoran Desert, if you know where to look." Apparently, Derek had been messaging the account's owner, who gave him rough coordinates. That was all he needed to become obsessed. That Saturday, it was me, Derek, and our buddy Ryan heading out there. I had an old Jeep Cherokee, perfect for desert backroads. We didn't have a real address, just a pin drop in the middle of nowhere. Derek's mark was way off, like seriously far from civilization. We'd left paved roads about 40 minutes ago, and now the path barely even looked like a trail. The farther we drove, the more anxious Ryan got. He kept grumbling from the back seat, saying we'd been conned by some troll on Instagram. Derek just smirked and insisted we push further. I figured, why not humor him for a little longer? Just when we were about to give up, Ryan spotted something. Off to the side, it looked like nothing at first, just a jagged hill. But as we got closer, we saw it. A crumbling wooden structure built into a slope. Part of it had collapsed, but you could still see a dark opening framed by rotting beams. It wasn't big, but it was definitely human-made. Definitely a mine shaft. Derek pulled out his phone, marked it on his offline map, and looked over at Ryan. "Told you," he said. Ryan just rolled his eyes, but even I had to admit, it was insane that we'd actually found it. I parked nearby on a flat patch of sand. We climbed out and geared up. Derek even handed out masks, which felt dramatic at the time but later turned out to be a lifesaver. As we approached, Derek picked up a rock and chucked it into the shaft. We heard it bounce once, twice, then nothing. It was deep. Derek turned to us and joked, "One slip and you're toast." The descent wasn't vertical. The shaft sloped, sharply but walkably downward. The ground was loose, and old timber beams jutted from the walls. The deeper we went, the colder and quieter it got. The sound of our breathing the only thing we could hear. Light from the surface faded until we were swallowed by blackness. Eventually, the shaft leveled out, opening into a wider tunnel system that split into different directions. It was straight out of a horror movie. Rusted rails, broken wood, collapsed beams. Dust coated everything in a heavy layer. It smelled old, like trapped air that hadn't moved in decades. Honestly, without the masks, we might have gagged. We picked a tunnel and kept moving, flashlights slicing through the gloom. Nothing special at first, just debris and shadows. But then we heard it, a dragging sound. It was faint, like something heavy scraping across the ground, deep further down the passage. I froze. So did Derek. Ryan mouthed to us, "Turn off the lights." We did. Standing there, in complete darkness, I could feel my heartbeat pounding in my ears. The dragging sound came again. It was slow, steady, and it was getting closer. Seconds dragged by. Maybe it was a minute. It felt endless. Then Ryan accidentally flicked his flashlight back on for a split second. My stomach dropped. The dragging stopped. Dead silence. And then, a deafening metallic crash echoed through the tunnel, followed by the most blood-curdling scream I've ever heard in my life. It wasn't human. It was deep, guttural, and wrong. Without thinking, we bolted. I've never run so fast, adrenaline carrying me forward. Behind me, I could hear footsteps pounding on the loose earth. I was in the rear, trying to keep pace, when I tripped hard over something. I felt my shoe rip off, but there was no time. I got up and ran, barefoot and bleeding. Ahead of me, Derek and Ryan were scrambling up the sloped entrance. I didn't climb. I clawed. Sharp rocks tore up my hands and feet. Every step felt like fire. Somehow, we made it back to the surface. I collapsed into the dirt. Derek and Ryan half carried me back to the Jeep. Ryan jumped into the driver's seat, and we sped out of there like our lives depended on it. Because they just might have. We didn't stop driving until we hit a hospital in town. I ended up with dozens of splinters, a deep gash on my foot, and a tetanus shot. I couldn't even walk properly for a week. A few days later, once I could hobble around, Ryan mentioned he'd probably lost his wallet near the mine when helping me into the car. Against our better judgment, we decided to at least check near the entrance. No way we were going inside again. Using Derek's saved pin, we found the site. Ryan's wallet was long gone, but we did find something else. My missing shoe. It was sitting near the mine entrance, torn apart, literally shredded, with deep, unmistakable bite marks carved into the leather. Chunks of it were missing, like something had chewed through. We didn't stay to think about it. We got out of there. To this day, none of us can explain what happened. Some people might say it was just some deranged person living underground, but if it was, how had they survived? There was no food, no water, just dead air and dust. Derek tried messaging that Instagram account again after everything. No response. The account vanished a few days later. It'll be a long, long time before I even think about exploring abandoned places again, and definitely never in the desert.